Welcome to the Morpheus Analytics channel. If you have any questions about cryptocurrency and blockchain education or business intelligence solutions, please contact us through our website at www.morpheusanalytics.com or follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube. Otherwise, please enjoy the recording.
Hi and welcome. I have with me today Andrew Coe and Brian Johnson from the GBA. How are you today, guys?
Doing great. Thank you, Michael.
Doing well, thanks.
Awesome. Well, one of the favorite topics we love to talk about with crypto and blockchain is taxation. Okay, so it's a common conversation narrative around the world. One of the main reasons for that, we're in a bit of a bull market since the early 2020. We're in July 2021 now as we record this. So now there's a lot of tax treatment conversation around capital gains popping up around narrative on newspapers and media around the world. But also we need to also look at how taxation of blockchain and crypto impacts innovation. But the first one we'll look at is probably more of the capital gains conversation. Andrew, what's your thoughts on it from your point of view when it comes to crypto and taxation?
Well, I think, to be honest about it, taxation issue hasn't really creep up as a big topic right now, at least in Asia's perspective, because everyone is more looking at the adoption of crypto as well as blockchain projects. The taxation part, as far as I'm aware of, is still in the, how should I say, in the e-commerce side of things. Like, for example, if you purchase something from the website, then this is considered digital tax, right? That attracts digital tax and so on. But from the crypto side of things, especially from the blockchain kind of thing, it has to come in the form of accounting, right? So the accounting aspect has to be sort of formalized and established on how do you treat the crypto investments and the blockchain projects in your accounting books. I think this is something that there are solutions out there by the Big Four, but like I said, how can it be formalized, and in what format can this be reported to the authorities, right, for proper tax filing and so on. So in terms of that issue, I think at least from Asia point of view, we are still a couple of steps behind.
That's interesting. So, Brian, from your day-to-day, you've got a good grasp on what's going on in the space of people, closing out positions on a day-to-day basis, on a monthly basis, with margin trading or trading in general advice. What do you find now with the tax treatments of your clients and who you deal with?
Yep, I think the most clear one is if you're a U.S. entity, then you will be taxed, and the IRS is gonna look for you, and that's also the reason why a lot of crypto exchanges are very, very strict when it comes to dealing with U.S. individuals. It sometimes is if the first question, if not the second question, is filling up a form, because it's really very different. And I can tell you, from the crypto side, let's say the biggest exchanges such as Binance, the version of Binance in the US is very different from the version that is in the international scene, primarily because of that, big three letters, which is the IRS, right? But I think the important thing to note for, taxation on the crypto trading side is to take note, what kind of entity are you? If you are like us that really trade virtual currencies in the course of our daily business, that is our core business, then that will be taxed as regular income. That really is, black and white. If you're in Singapore, it's the same. If you're trading cryptocurrencies as your primary source of income, and that's the nature of your business, you're a hedge fund or a family office, you will be taxed. But for those that are holding it at long term, meaning you're holding it beyond 1 year horizon, then in the same way that there's no capital gains tax on that, there will also be no capital gains tax on long-term holdings of cryptocurrency for that use case. So I think it's very important to distinguish between the two. Yeah, but for us, of course, we're in the trading business. So unfortunately, as Andrew was saying, that's going to be on our books. And as long as it's going to be on our books, then, we have to pay our dues as well, as a business that deals with trading of asset classes, which include cryptocurrencies. Yeah, but for those that are holding, in crypto parlance, they call it hodl, right? Hold on for dear life. And they really implement it, meaning they do not shake out in between. Then, yeah, and if they do not sell and then they sell it in the long-term horizon in the same way that there's no cap gains tax on that, you will also enjoy the same thing or the same benefits for several jurisdictions. At least I can speak for, Singapore and Malaysia for that side.
Yeah, keep it simple and making sure you get the right advice when it comes to that anyway, very much. The next one is obviously around taxation when it comes to innovation. And what I mean by that is incentives with investment in the crypto and blockchain space. For example, is there in Singapore or any other regions around Asia, are you guys seeing incentives for taxation around this particular area, just on that alone? Andrew, do you want to have a stab at that first question?
Yeah, I think in general, I would speak generally because it just doesn't really just apply to blockchain and crypto players. But in terms of like startups in Singapore, the country here do have various schemes available for potential investors depending on the amount of cash that earlier Brian has alluded to. So there are various incentive schemes for startups, as well as those companies who want to set up their regional headquarters in Singapore. So there are specific incentives, including taxation, offered by the authorities here. And also the third space will be the family offices, right? That's also the main attraction in terms of building Singapore as a wealth management hub. That also comes in as as part of the broader set of incentives for investors that are willing to invest and set up their companies here in Singapore. So I believe this is also very similar across various Asian countries as well.
Very much, very balanced approach there as we can take with that. So it's very much not just because of blockchain or crypto, it's innovation in general. And that it's just another participant in that conversation. So no special treatment, which is interesting to hear. Brian, what's your thoughts on that? What are you seeing?
Yeah, we think that there really needs to be a balance, right, between innovation and at the same time, regulation. And I think the Asian side, the very nature of sandboxes which they've set up for the MAS on the Singapore side and even for the Hong Kong side, that shows you that they're not afraid to test the waters, so to say. In fact, these countries have been very supportive of startups that are in the blockchain space to come in and try to disrupt, really, if there is an area of disruption for their product. Because the danger nowadays is that a lot of companies like to use blockchain as a very sexy word on their company portfolio, but many of them do not really need blockchain or even need that technology in order to disrupt what they're trying to disrupt, right? So it's very important to encourage innovation, and I think in the sense of Singapore's, with innovation and the entry pass, entrepreneurship passes that they have, and also for if you set up there, you will get a certain tax benefit or holiday for a few years. That really is encouraging a lot of enterprises to go in and take a stab on addressing modern day problems using cryptocurrency, blockchain / digital solutions. Yeah, but I think the right way to do it really is to again tread the ground very carefully, not so as to go too fast that you hit a roadblock, so to say, and then you have to reverse these things. That's going to be harder to do. And so I think the regulators in that sense have been very prudent. But there's also some other jurisdictions that have really been a no go for anything crypto and blockchain. Yeah, and that those are also present in the region. Yeah, so I think their perspective is more of wait and see. Wait and see. Look at our neighbors, such as Hong Kong, Singapore. Let's see how they develop it, and then whatever comes out from that, then they will just adopt later on. So I think, there are different approaches, but the good thing is that prudence is really being exercised with regards to this, frontier technology of blockchain. That's what we're seeing as well in the region.
Very much. And using the taxation and conversation to get the best and brightest, but also take, again, a balanced decision and view on what they want to do and how they want to adjust the taxation to generate that innovation. So I have to say, look, the Singaporean government do a great job of managing that and bringing that concept into place and making sure there's incentives to experiment, trial, see how things go and learn from that perspective. And Andrew, is that what you're seeing on the ground with some of the startups? You're saying that trying to get the best and smartest in there to, trial things out, test things out and get that information back to the government?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's what every aspiring startup in Singapore will eventually want to, reach to a certain level where they can engage and contribute some of their ideas and solutions through the authorities. And in Singapore, it's not too difficult to do that because there are many channels and avenues whereby, there will be, especially our Singapore FinTech Festival, which is coming up again towards the end of this year. So this is another mega event that surprisingly has been supported by the Singapore Central Bank, the MAS. And this is one of just on many platforms whereby any startups, when they have a good solution, they have the right team, and they want to engage at a higher level, they can do that easily all of Singapore.
No, that's fantastic. So obviously taking information from your neighbours around in the Asian region to work out policy and taxation and innovation investment. But it's also, once they get that, it's also take that innovation and distribute it and sell it to other parts of Asia. Is that a big part where you see, Brian? I know I've seen that in the last 20 years, but you think that's a good model?
I do think that, yes, innovation right now is perhaps at an all-time high for blockchain and crypto. And what we're seeing as well is, more than incubators and accelerators that have taken place in Singapore, is that there's a lot of interest on corporate VC or corporate venture capital into this space as well. In fact, if you take a look at even, the big investors, one of the big ones in Singapore, of course, is Temasek. Arguably, Temasek is not only just investing in startups, but they're actually building their own startups inside Temasek now to solve these relevant problems that they're seeing. Yeah, because these kinds of investment houses, they do get pitches all day from all sorts in the whole spectrum of fintech and blockchain. And many a time, they just decide, hey, there's no one company that is actually addressing this problem. So they take it on themselves and then they do the startup even within their organization, of course, funded by their organization. And I think this is a trend that we're seeing a lot more. Corporate VC innovation in the fintech and blockchain space in 2021 has really been at a very high level. I would say it's around 4x that of 2019. Just to give you a baseline. And that, I think, is a sign that things are really on an up and up in this space. And one of the things also that you realize in fintech blockchain startups is that it's all about collaboration and not competition. And you would realize that a lot of them actually leverage on a different startup or mature company's API in order for them to develop a solution that can interconnect different either cross-border transaction or cross-platform transactions. So in that sense, it's standing on the shoulders of giants, so to say. And I think that's an important lens to put on because, they're not isolated silos now. Many of them are backed by corporates with deep pockets, investment houses with deep pockets, and that also does not preclude them from working together. That's what we're seeing on the startup scene, in the fintech side. And I also encourage, of course, as Andrew was mentioning, for those interested to also attend the FinTech Festival in Singapore, which is happening in a few months' time. Me and Andrew have been attending every year. But if I do it physically and digitally, nowadays with COVID. Yeah, but hopefully, this thing will push through, and it'll be a wonderful time to, collaborate and take these things to the next level.
No, fantastic. Look, collaboration in that space with enterprise and obviously corporate arms with startups is something that's a fantastic initiative, and it's good to see that's happening. It just shows that we're a lot further ahead, a lot more advanced than we thought we were. You know, if you asked this 2 years ago, we had a different conversation. But I tell you what, it'd be interesting to talk another 2 years at time also about where we're at. Interesting. Well, guys, I'd like to say thank you very much for coming on today. That was awesome insights once again. Your knowledge is second to none. So, look, thank you very much, Andrew and Brian, for coming on.
Happy to be here. Thank you, Michael.
Pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.